Hey guys, what's up, and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about a story that is truly unbelievable in, I think, the worst way possible, a story of neglect at best. And you've probably seen this on social media because it's been making the rounds. Let's just get into it. 3-year-old girl mauled by family dogs while visiting father for Christmas. A 3-year-old girl was killed in a vicious dog attack while visiting her father's Ohio apartment for Christmas. The panicked father called Cincinnati police on December 27th after he discovered blood all over his living room. His toddler daughter, Kingsley Wright, was already dead on the ground. "My baby is dead," he told the dispatcher. "This has got to be a fucking nightmare." The Hamilton County Coroner's Office ruled that the little Kingsley was mauled by the family's 3 dogs, the Inquirer reported. Kingsley's mother, Gina Smith, had taken her from their Wilmington home to her father's apartment in Roselawn on December 23rd to celebrate the holidays. Smith told WLWT television that Kingsley was spending time with the family for the holidays, but she had no idea the dogs in the home were dangerous. There are a lot of things here that you'll see as we keep going that do not add up if this man has a singular brain cell, or if this man had good intentions. All of this shit doesn't add up. Therefore, I don't think there were good intentions, and like I said before, at best, this is a case of insane neglect. I know the people in the comments might get mad about this, and I know that there is so much pit bull discourse, because those are the dogs we're talking about here. I do not know how many times pit bulls have to attack, not just kids, but humans generally, until people understand that certain breeds have a violent streak. I actually asked someone who has multiple degrees in dog biology, is it? It's not just the public that doesn't like pit bulls and they're trying to get pit bulls put down. It's a question of how many times do we have to see this happen with the same breed before we think, maybe this is not a great breed. Now, I'm not going to go into the politics of all of that. I'm just saying it's no coinkydink that these weren't fucking chihuahuas and that they were pit bulls. Obviously the father's to blame as far as I'm concerned, but. She noted Kingsley was staying at the home for the first time ever. The last time Smith would speak to her daughter would be through a FaceTime call before Kingsley headed to bed on Thursday evening. So I think this is important too, because I was wondering, why is this the first time ever? And I don't know what kind of situation they're in, but to me, it would also seem like it's no coincidence that this is the first time ever, in the sense of probably this was mandated by courts that she had to spend time with her father or something, because this is not a newborn child. This is still a 3-year-old. So if it's the first time a 3-year-old is going to the father's house, there has to be a strain in the rapport, and I'm just wondering, is the strain in that rapport the fact that perhaps he is irresponsible, neglectful, and a series of other things? That was also something that came to mind. Why was this the first time? "It's just been one big roller coaster," Smith told the Inquirer. "I feel like we ain't ever gonna get off of it." At around 7:50 a.m. Friday, Kingsley's father stumbled upon the horrifying scene, later telling police there did not appear to be a break-in through the night because the front door was still locked. Dispatchers told him to put away any pets in the home before authorities arrived on scene, to which he responded that all 3 dogs, who he said were terriers, were already in their cages. "That's why I'm like, did any of my pets attack her or something?" he said on the call. "I would have heard this." Relatives and friends have since been engaging in a Facebook debate about whether the 3 family dogs were pit bulls, XL bullies, or cane corsos, both of the latter being pit bull variants, Animals 24/7 reported. So there we are about the breed. There's also a lot of online discussion, and I completely agree with this because I think it's sketchy as fuck. Why was the kid sleeping in another room? Now, I don't know if this article goes into it, but allegedly she was sleeping in the living room on the couch, and the theory is that she was sleeping in that same area with the dogs being free in that area and the father being in his bedroom with the door closed. But if the door is closed, potentially he could have quote-unquote not heard anything. That being said, I don't believe that at all. Even with the door closed, notoriously, toddlers are loud as shit about everything. So you're telling me that this child got mauled and killed by 3 dogs and she didn't so much as make a peep? There was no screaming, no nothing? Or you wouldn't even hear the dogs growling or making... There has to be something here, because it's impossible to me that all of these crimes were done in silence, or that your door is so soundproof that you didn't hear anything, or that you were sleeping so deeply that you didn't hear anything. Second of all, why was your kid sleeping in the living room? This is a 3-year-old. So, first of all, honestly, I don't think this kid should have been in another room other than her father's. Whether that's a different bed, whether that's the same bed, whether that's a crib, whatever. The kid should have been either in her own room with the door closed or in your room. To me, it makes more sense in your room because this is the kid's first time at your house. They probably don't feel comfortable, and oh right, safety. And this is outside of even the dogs. If we factor in the dogs, the kid should never be alone with the dogs, period. And this is not just about pit bulls, this is about dogs in general. We know kids are heavy-handed. Even if they don't mean it, they're not particularly graceful with animals, and animals will snap. So there's no reason your kid should be with 3 dogs that don't know her, let alone 3 pit bulls or pit bull variants, overnight. That makes absolutely no sense. Anyway, we're going to talk about some theories that have come out on the internet because I don't think they're far-fetched at all. Those kinds of dogs are over 100 pounds, so did they just sit on her, then start mauling her? Joshua Justice, Smith's boyfriend, told WLWT. Did they crush her, and why, he added. What made them want to do that to just a little baby sleeping on the couch? We return to my main point. As a father who's having your kid over for the first time, you're really gonna make her sleep on the couch? I find that in and of itself suspicious and absurd, especially for a 3-year-old. Moving on. Cincinnati Animal Care was called pretty shortly after the discovery to remove the 3 dogs from the home and take them to the animal shelter for a state-mandated 10-day quarantine period. Kingsley's mother received a message from the girl's older sister that same morning informing her that she needed to call because it was about her daughter. That is when she was told that Kingsley had died and that the girl's father had been taken by police for questioning. The coroner wouldn't let Smith see her daughter after the attack due to how graphic her injuries were. Smith told WLWT that leaving Kingsley at the home where she was mauled by the 3 dogs was the last time I got to say goodbye to my baby. I told her I loved her and I would see her in a few days, she added. I would have not left my baby around vicious dogs, she told the outlet. Why would I do that? Putting aside the entire couch thing, which I think is actually quite central, but we've already discussed that, we really have to think about the father's intentions here, and I'm not trying to be purposefully grim, but if we're going to have the conversation, the father opts to not have the daughter in his room. I don't think it would be weird for a 3-year-old to sleep in the same bed as their parent, especially in the circumstances of being at a house that they're not super familiar with, from my understanding. And especially in a house with dogs they don't know, it would only make sense to be in a room with the door closed away from the dogs, right? So the circumstances are already suspicious, but if we go beyond neglect here, I really think there is something grim going on because you're putting your child at risk, right? And I'd like to think that no parent would think this way, but to me, the second thought was this really either a murder in cold blood, or was this basically neglect to the point where you're willing a death to happen? So by that I mean, how do we know he didn't kill her and then left her to be mauled by the dogs, first of all, because that is relatively convenient if we're looking at the circumstances for a killer. That's pretty convenient, having dogs that are known to be aggressive. Oh yeah, Anyway, aside from that, I'm wondering, is this neglect bordering on murder in the sense of you don't particularly care about what's going to happen to your kid, and if they die, and you're okay with that? Those are the things that came to mind because I can't think of any adult with more than one brain cell who would think, yeah, you know what's a good idea? Leaving my kid with these 3 dogs that are all over 100 pounds, alone, in the living room, on the couch. Although there have not been any arrests in connection to Kingsley's death, the department's homicide unit was called to investigate and have since been in contact with her family. Smith's only answer to those asking questions how this could have happened is, I don't know. For that poor baby to be attacked by dogs like that and him not hear it, that's what I'm questioning, she told the Inquirer. Exactly. I think that's what we're all wondering. Her hope is that the police will uncover the answers to all of the questions plaguing her during the course of this investigation. 3 days after the fatal attack, a detective told Smith they had some security camera in the living room which showed her daughter sleeping on the couch. WLWT reported. He's devastated and understands all of her mom and mom's family's feelings and is very sorry, one friend of the father, Calissa H., said online. He's very sorry? I mean, I'm sorry, that is absolutely laughable. Like, you're sorry? I mean, I guess you can say that, but in a case like this, it just sounds so ridiculous to say because, yeah, you're sorry. Your kid's dead. Like, you're sorry. That doesn't do shit for anyone. This is a nightmare as he just learned that Kingsley was his daughter. He was so excited for her to spend time with him and meet her sister and family. He feels that this is his fault for not being able to protect her. Well, he's right about one thing. It is his fault. Entirely his fault. He should feel terrible forever. Honestly, forever feel terrible because this was entirely in your control. That's the actual tragedy. It was entirely in your control to not leave her around dogs. Aside from that, He just found out that she was his daughter, which makes sense now considering that this was the first time at his house or whatever. But still, that makes it almost worse to me because it's like, okay, so your daughter had really never met these dogs. It wasn't just they were unfamiliar with each other. They did not know each other at all. You don't know what kind of rapport your dogs have with this new child at all. You still decide to leave her with these dogs, not knowing anything, with a kid that you just found out is yours. You'd think you'd be extra, first of all, grateful, but also extra cautious. This is not a kid you know well. Your kid, mind you, that you don't know well. So I'm not going to give this man any benefit of the doubt. Sorry, not sorry about that. Despite losing her daughter in such a heinous way, Smith said she's still appreciative of all the support she's been receiving for the community. She said that several people have made decals in honor of Kingsley, and that a childhood friend gave her a throw blanket decorated with pictures of her daughter. She was happy, she liked to sing, she liked to dance, Smith told the outlet. She just put a lot of smiles on a lot of people's faces. Lisa Kalina, a spokesperson for the animal shelter, told the outlet the dogs will be held in the shelter until they are given further direction by the police rather than euthanizing them straight away. She's unaware of any previous issues concerning the dogs. If the dogs did effectively do this, I don't really think there's any real solution other than euthanasia, or you're going to forever keep them locked in a cage and separate from humans unless someone insanely decides to sign up to keep these dogs and be on guard 24/7, I guess. I really do hope that the homicide team does look into the father, because I have very little faith in people's intelligence, but I really have a hard time believing that he just did not conceive of the possibility of the kid being mauled. I just don't see that as possible. So seeing that it's impossible for me to believe that, it all seems intentional. None of this to me seems like, oh no, I made a mistake. I left my kid with 3 known to be violent and aggressive dogs and they're all over 100 pounds and this is a mere 3-year-old. How do you make that make sense? I would love to know. Anyway, my light turned off, so that's a sign for me to shut up, I suppose. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and we'll catch you guys next time.